Great story. We'll begin our introductions by hearing from Greg Kurr. Greg is the president and CEO of Kemps, so please welcome Greg to the stage.
Thanks, Frank. And it's truly my honor and privilege to introduce Chris Coborn as an inductee to the Minnesota Hall of Fame. Chris and I have been friends, we've been partners in the business, and we've been partners on the golf course for 30 plus years. Two of those three things have gone really great over 30 years. And for those of you who weren't familiar with the Coborn story and saw the video for the first time like I did, the story's really simple. It's a family and a business that's rooted in food, family, and communities. And it goes all the way back to 1921 when Chris's great-grandpa opened the first store in Sauk Rapids, Minnesota. And the store was really featured just fresh produce and then eventually added dry groceries to the store for their customers. And Chris's grandpa then took over the company, followed by his father, Dan, and his three brothers that ran the company up until Chris took over. Now, naturally, Chris grew up in the grocery business, and he and his brother would mop floors. Chris started out by stocking shelves and unloading trucks, and there's a story that goes while Dad was up working upstairs, he and his brother were working downstairs, but they figured out how to push carts around the grocery store, and once in a while they'd knock the candy over, which would make a mess, and they'd pick it up and get a little treat, which probably leads to Chris's favorite meal still today, which is macaroni and cheese and Skittles. So, but Chris attended St. John's University, and in 1981, he got his first corporate job in Coborn's, and he served in many roles, various roles, up until he became president, which really prepared him to lead the family business in 2007. And as you saw in the video, Coborn's operates 120 retail locations. They're in the grocery business, the convenience store business, they're in the liquor business, the pharmacy business, and many more. And on top of that, they run Coborn's Deliveries, a central bakery, a central dry cleaning, a warehouse, and just tremendous growth in the organization. Now, there are some that say what truly ignited the Coborn's growth was back in 1975 when they started featuring Kemps milk and ice cream system-wide. But that's a debate many still have. But when I think of Chris and this award, and you think about leadership, and you can define leadership a number of different ways, but when I think about leadership as a leader that sets really clear direction, and he communicates that effectively across the organization, he holds his team accountable, but inspires them to do great things and celebrate success, that's Chris. That's how he's led this company, and that's why I think he's so deserving of this award. And when I think about setting vision or direction, man, over the last 20 years we've had, I can't tell you how many conversations about the business and where it's going, and without question, Chris knew where the company was going, how they were going to get there, put a peg on the wall, take calculated risk, invest in the organization, and cut them loose. And what I observed and learned from Chris over the years was that he knew he didn't have all the answers, and quite frankly, one of his strengths is learning from others. And so I don't know how many share groups he's in at once and how many boards he's participating in and traveling across the country, but it was those activities that led to learning just a number of best practices that were implemented at Coborn's, and they stayed one step ahead of the competition. And when I think about inspiring others, you know, Chris, he's got this charismatic personality. It didn't come across in the video, trust me. The guy's got a lot of charisma, and I'm kidding you. I had to get one shot in there, buddy. But when you're around him, you want to go for a ride with him. You want to be part of what he's doing. He's just got this charisma personality. But I would say one of his greatest accomplishments to inspiring others when he introduced the ESOP structure to the Coborn's organization. When they became a family-owned organization, and at that time, it really was about enhancing this family environment and carrying on that legacy, and transparency became part of the organization in a much bigger way, and the organization studied the same issues in the industry, and they battled together, and everybody's an owner, and they celebrated success together. And quite frankly, I think it's one of the greatest accomplishments because it's rare in the grocery business. And so there's all these attributes of Chris that I've observed in the industry and observed as a friend, but I took the opportunity a couple weeks ago. We were up in British Columbia fishing, and we were on Wales Island, which is the middle of nowhere, and we were up there with family and friends. It was Chris's two sons, my son, who works for Coborn's, and my son-in-law, and then two mutual friends and his financial advisor. And I thought, this is the perfect chance to get the truth, right? Wales Island, nobody around, those closest to him, 2 beers, tell me about Chris. And what I heard from them were the same things that you're going to hear from others that you talked to, and what I just said. His son Peter said he's just genuine and dedicated. Michael talked about not only does my dad network, but he does it with really good people. Kyle talked about how instinctive he is, and Vinny about innovation and being creative, and Charles talked about just he truly cares for people, and he really does. And when I got home, I said, well, I've got to give this same opportunity to his daughter Emily and his wife Becky. So I called Emily and I said, Emily, hey, did this up at camp. Can you give me a couple things about your dad and why he deserves this award and his success in the organization? And 6.5 minutes and 75 words later, I was able to compress Emily's 2 words down to that her dad is a student of the industry, and he truly is. He surrounds himself with great people. Many of them are in this room tonight. And he has truly sacrificed for the company's success. And I think Becky summed it up best when she just said, it's all about Chris's passion. He's passionate about what he does. He lives it. It drives him. And that passion comes out in how he leads the organization and where they've gone. And I've heard a couple times already about this award being about communities. And you can't introduce Chris and you can't introduce the organization unless you talk about communities. And the fact that there is a culture at Coborn's which is all about giving back and caring for others and treating their customers as if they're guests of their employees' homes. And they've been so gracious with their giving and donate so many hours to so many organizations. And organizations like United Way and Centricare that is here tonight, and St. John's University and the College of St. Ben's and St. Cloud State and many, many more. And it's usually under the radar screen, but they're amazing givers and they do amazing things for our communities in Minnesota. And it goes without saying that Coborn's has maintained its values for almost 100 years now, and Chris has carried that on within his leadership. So it's truly my great honor to introduce my friend and partner, Chris Coborn. Hey, Brad, give him this.
Wow, if my mother was here, she'd say, what a motor mouth he is. That was my one shot. Thank you, Greg, for your kind introduction. If I didn't know you better, though, I would think that you were looking for some more facings for cottage cheese in one of our stores. However, I do know you better. It's been nearly 30 years, and your friendship and family mean the world to me and my family, so thank you. I would like to take a moment to share a short story about our company's humble beginnings. It began in actually 1906 when my great-grandfather, Chester Coborn, got an idea to become a merchant. After working several years in a paper mill in Sartell, Minnesota, along the Mississippi River, he thought it was a good idea to venture out and buy a rail car of produce and get in the business of selling produce. He woke up, as the story goes, he woke up the morning of the grand opening and went down to open his store, and he found all the produce that he bought from a rail car in the basement floor of this store that he was renting on Main Street, which was in Sauk Rapids. The old days, that was Highway 10. So he wound up back in the paper mill, working until 1921 when he was able to raise enough money to take a second chance. And we've been in business now since 1921, which is 96 years and going. So that makes me 4th generation. I got my official start. The story really is, Yes, it's true that my brother would push me into the candy section of this little store that my dad and his three brothers managed, but so it wasn't my fault. I was in the cart. But I did enjoy the candy that fell to the floor. And boy, did the fellas that woke up in the morning to pick up that mess, how they would gripe about how this mess on the floor happened. And of course, my dad knew exactly what it was. So back 40 years now, I got my official start with the company. We had a small transportation department and one driver that drove our semi, and his name was Buzzy. He was also a part-time or a weekend race car driver, stock car driver back in those days. And one Sunday night, the phone rang. My dad answered the phone, and it was Buzzy. He said, "Is everything okay?" He said, "Yes, I'm okay, but I had an accident, and I won't be able to drive tomorrow morning." And my dad came to me and to tell me, "You're going to be up early tomorrow morning to drive truck." And I told him I didn't know how. He told me it's okay because Buzzy was going to ride along with me and teach me along the way. So off we went the next morning to Wisconsin to pick up a truckload of Bush's baked beans. To this day, being a truck driver was one of my favorite jobs. Fast forward to today, I now have had the good fortune to lead the company. I became president in 1999 and then became president and CEO in 2007. As I look back, the company's achievements, the company's achievements over the years, I think the one that gives me the most satisfaction is that the fact that my grown children, who are the fifth generation of our family business, have taken interest in the company. My daughter Emily and my sons Peter and Michael are here today. As I reflect on this award, the first and foremost, I want to thank my wife Becky and my children for their love, patience, and support. You've allowed me to do what I love to do every day. Thank you. I also want to thank my remarkable team, my leadership team, who is also here with me tonight. Thank you for being a tremendous and talented team to Coborns. I wouldn't want to work alongside anyone else. I also want to thank our over 8,000 employees for their commitment to meeting our customers' needs every day. And also to our business partners in the room who took the time out of their busy schedules to be here tonight. Your partnership makes us strong. Thank you for all your support. My dad passed away this past March. He would have been 87 years young yesterday. He was my mentor, teacher, and hunting and fishing partner. Even though we didn't always agree, he was one that I admired most. He taught me a lot about the business. Most importantly, he taught me life lessons. One of his favorite sayings, and it was said in this video, "It's better to be lucky than smart." Dad, I think I've struck a balance somewhere between. Last but not least, thank you to Dale and to Twin City Business for this recognition. Congratulations to all the 2017 inductees. I'm humbled to be a member of your class. Last but not least, I just want to take and toast to my dad that this honor is for him. Thank you very much.